And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Starting the marine forecast off with tonight's forecast map, we've got this system here. It's going to be bringing gale force winds into the North Gulf Coast. Otherwise, high pressure, light winds, a dry night here tonight for the southeast coast. Diminishing but persisting precipitation here from along this trough up in the interior, staying dry to the north, and really not much going on out to the west. So for tomorrow, we'll see this system pushes in toward the southeast coast, bringing increased wind and rain all along the Panhandle up to the North Gulf Coast into Prince William Sound, across the southern Kenai Peninsula, Cook Inlet, and a wet day for Kodiak Island, and some scattered thunderstorms along this trough axis there in the 40-mile country southwestward into the southwest interior, but dry to the north and storm-free out over the Bering Sea. And the outlook for Friday, just some weak troughs here now, keeping it wet for the eastern North Gulf Coast, showery for the Panhandle. Isolated thunderstorms here developing in the afternoon across southern Alaska, mostly sunny, starting to see warmer temperatures back into the central northern interior, all the way out to the north slope up there, and just a weak low out here over the Bering Sea. So looking at the coastal water forecast for tomorrow here, on the south coast, southeast winds 30 to 35 knots. Gale warnings for the north coast, east winds 30 to 40 knots. Southeast 25 for Lynn Canal, south 25 for Stevens Passage, and south winds at 30 knots for Clarence Strait. And then those winds die down for Friday with southwest winds at 15 for the south coast, central coast south at 15, and east-southeast 15 for the north coast. Lynn Canal winds down to 10 knots from the south, 15 knots for Stevens Passage, south winds at 20, but seas still around 7 feet for Clarence Strait. And for the North Gulf Coast, full gales tomorrow, east-northeast winds at 40 knots, and that blows right across the Barren Islands. Northeast 30 knots for Kamishak Bay, southern Cook Inlet, small craft advisories, northeast at 25, northeast 15 for northern Cook Inlet, and Prince William Sound, small craft advisories, east winds 25 knots, seas at about 4 feet. And for the day on Friday for Prince William Sound, east winds at about 10 knots, with seas around 2 feet, south to southwest winds at 20 for Cook Inlet, and east-southeast 15 to 20 for the Barren Islands, Kamishak Bay, and winds really dropping down here for the North Gulf Coast now, 20 knots from the east and northeast, and winds 10 knots from the east with 2-foot seas for Prince William Sound. Kodiak Island tomorrow, we've got gale warnings in Shelikof Strait for northeast winds at 35 knots. Otherwise, northeast at 30 knots with seas at 10 feet. Light variable winds for the Alaska Peninsula, 10 knots there, and northeast at 15 for Bristol Bay. And for Friday, northeast winds Kodiak Island at 15 to 20. Light variable winds continue for the peninsula with a light northwest breeze at 10 knots for Bristol Bay. For the Aleutians, variable winds at 10 knots except from Kiska to Shemya, northwest 15 there, with seas really laid down, especially over the central and eastern areas, running 2 to 4 feet. And then for the Friday outlook, western Aleutians, northwest winds 15 to 25 knots, variable winds 10 to 15 knots for Adak and Atka, and variable winds 10 to 15 knots for the Fox Islands. For the southwest coast, north winds 10 to 20 knots, north winds at 10 knots for St. Lawrence Island, light variable winds for the Pribilofs, northeast at 20 possibly for St. Matthew Island. And then for Friday, for Norton Sound, the Yukon Delta Coast, and St. Lawrence Island, all looking at northeast winds at 10. Light west wind at 10 knots for the Kuskokwim Delta Coast. North at 15 for St. Matthew Island. Light variable winds for the Pribilofs. And for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, a little breezy tomorrow. West winds 20 to 25 knots on the central coast, west at 15. The west coast there, west at 10, and the Chukchi Sea, north to northwesterlies, 15 to 20 knots. For the Chukchi Sea on Friday, north to northwest winds, 10 to 15 knots. Northwest at 10 on the western Arctic coast, the central coast northwest 15. And still pretty breezy there for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast. West winds 20 to 30 knots.